Hey guys, what's going on? How is everybody? Ooh, Lord. Ooh, we need to adjust something here. Big old shiny. I already know I got a lot of forehead, got some more head, but anyway, welcome in. Let me see if I can fix this a little bit. My goodness gracious. That's a little bit better. Whew, shiny forehead today. What's going on, Ed? Thanks for joining in, guys. It's time for 30 books in 30 weeks, and we are on week 18 already. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we are so far into 2018. And the 18 weeks is just, I mean, that's just from this year alone. Mind you, this started months into 2000, or, at the end of 2017. So, wow. Welcome in. This week we're talking about this little book right here. Y'all can ignore my little clearance sticker, but I find my little personal development bargains wherever I can, and this one I happen to get at a used bookstore. I also love the bookshelf at the Goodwill. So little secret tip: they have great personal development and self-leadership books there. So I always like to save money. I know, Ed. He sounds like a shiny penny. Man, did you see that? I'm like, oh my gosh, incredible. But anyway, so welcome in, guys. We are, like I said, we're in week 18 of our personal development, self-leadership journey. Reading and rating my personal development library for little books that have had big impacts, little books with big impacts. And I've shared a lot of ahas so far this year. We're on, I think this is video like 129 or something like that, something crazy. But for those of you who might be just popping in for the very first time, you don't really know who I am, you don't know what I do, what this is all about. My name is Marcy Batiste. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, and I am America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer. And what does that mean to you? Who cares, right? What that means is I can help you get in relation with reality so that you can achieve the goals that you want to do, or that you want to achieve. Truly helping women, especially, optimize their personal and professional investments. So how are you investing your time? How are you investing your energy? Who are you pouring your emotion into? Because so many times as women, we end up emotionally bankrupt, spiritually unaligned, and physically exhausted from giving. And so what's going on, Terry? And so when I was rating the bookshelf this weekend, thinking about what am I going to read this week, and I came across this little gem. It was tucked away in the corner, and this book, it's called Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much. And there are actually, every single day there's a different meditation in here. And I remember when I bought this book years ago, it was back in 2012 when I bought this book, so it was 6 years ago. And it was at a time, I didn't really know how to, thanks for sharing, Terry. I didn't know how to meditate. I didn't know how to, I struggled with even being able to pray right? I didn't understand meditation. I didn't understand, it was the very beginning of my truly being sold out to my happiness. It was the very beginning of that journey. And I had no idea what it looked like. I had no freaking clue how to focus on myself. What's going on, Timothy? I was just kind of flailing around out there, and I stumbled across this book in the used bookstore one day, and I was like, Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much. And that title is what spoke to me. And so I picked the book up and I started flipping through it, and I realized, so every single day there's a different topic. And so it was an easy way to, hey Scott, to indoctrinate myself into self-leadership and figuring out, like, getting reconnected. And so just like I did in April of 2012, I picked the book up this weekend, and I just opened it up to the page that had the corresponding date. So the subject that we're going to talk about today came from April 30th out of the book. And the subject matter is isolation. And it was so powerful, you guys. I'm telling you, the universe sends to me exactly what I need in the moment. So I was just having this conversation with one of my best friends about, since I left corporate and I work from home, it's nothing for me not to leave my house for 3 or 4 days at a time. I don't, I mean, I grocery shop once a week. I'm pretty organized and pretty methodical. So unless I have a meeting outside or something like that, but a lot of my business, my consulting business is done, most of it online, via telephone or via Skype. So I just really don't have a reason to leave the house. And so we were talking about, and I was telling her about a study that I had read about, and it was actually effects of aging and isolation on the elderly. And so it was talking about the importance of checking in with older people because they don't have a lot of social interaction. So they end up being very isolated. For them, they don't really get on social media a lot. Maybe don't have really, their friends have started to die off, so to speak. And so particularly if they're still in their own homes, it's nothing for them to maybe not have a conversation with another person for many days. And so while I don't leave my house, I'm constantly talking to other people, so I have constant interaction. But so it was talking about the effects of isolation on your mental health, right? And what the study showed was that when they did an experiment with a relatively young guy, I think it was like in his late 20s, early 30s, and they took away all of his social media. They took away his telephone. They took away television and left him in his apartment for 7 days. And what the study showed was that there is a profound impact on your mental health when you are isolated and cut off from human contact. And to the fact that they were saying that much of what we do as human beings, our nature is to base time on what we do. So do I have to be at work at a certain time? Do I have a call with a client at a certain time? I know even for me, as an entrepreneur working from home, it's nothing for me not to know. I have to have a calendar on my wall because it's nothing for me to not know what day of the week it is. Y'all see me, I get on here, I'm like, oh, what is today? That doesn't register with me unless I know, I've got certain clients that I meet with at certain points in time, but I have to, if it's not on my calendar, I won't remember because I don't associate myself with time frames and dates anymore. So it's nothing to get caught up in a project and lose complete track of time, that sort of thing. So what it was saying was, without those natural, hey Philip, without those natural forms of reference to time, there's no beginning and there is no end. And so that's what you see a lot of times. Elderly people might only have their TV, and so they stay up really late at night, or they might sleep late into the day. They don't have the same register. That circadian rhythm is off because the things that we normally would wake up for and move around the city for are taken from them. And so it was just interesting to me that she and I just had this conversation literally this past weekend. And so I was thinking a lot about that because I was telling her, like, as an entrepreneur, I need to be strategic about making myself work outside of the house sometimes. So going and, working at the library, going to a coffee shop and working at the coffee shop, something like that. And so we're talking about the importance of social interactions and how that affects your mental health. And we all know how you think affects dramatically how you behave, and how you behave affects your results. And so when I opened it up and I saw that this section was on isolation, here's the quote. This is what it says. It says, one of the reasons our society has become such a mess is that we're isolated from each other. So then it goes on to say, isolation is one of the characteristics of women who do too much. We may be surrounded by people. Now get this. We may be surrounded by people all day long, but our single-minded dedication to our work and our rushing isolates us. We do not like to be interrupted by friends. We would rather get our work done. We get angry when things don't fall into place or others are afraid to approach us. We've become just as locked up and closeted with our working, our busyness, our hurrying around as our grandmothers were in their isolated houses. We've forgotten how to reach out. We don't have time for it or even remember how. We think if we just had more time, right? Everybody's like, I just don't have enough time. We think if I had more time to focus on our work, we'd feel better, and instead we feel exhausted. Isolation is an energy drain. And so I titled this video, Isolation is not equal to solitude. They are not the same thing. And so as you can see from this description, you can be surrounded by people and be completely isolated, because you can be so narrowly focused and so tunnel vision that you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. You're not truly connected to people around you. I know for me, that can be very true. Mine's not from an isolation standpoint. Mine is truly because I enjoy solitude. And that's where the difference is. And that's kind of the piece that I want to really drive home today, is that some of us think that they'll hear people in sort of the personal development arena, coaches like myself, talking about the importance of getting comfortable being alone, right? What's going on, Mark? There's a difference between being comfortable being alone and being isolated. And so you can truly feel, like I said, that emotional bankruptcy, that being spiritually unaligned, everything's just off. You're physically exhausted. These are all, what's going on, Anthony? These are signs that you may be isolated, not seeking solitude. And although there's people around you, you're not connected. It becomes exhausting. And so then you isolate yourself, so you shut everybody and everything off, versus solitude, where you say, you know what? I need to recommit to me. I need to reclaim some me time. And then you are strategic about finding things that you enjoy doing, that is maybe by yourself, or it's maybe in small groups of people. And so you can actually create spaces and pockets of solitude where you can, for me, I know listening to some jazz and writing, that's solitude for me. But I'm strategic about that. I create that space, because for me, I'm an extroverted introvert. I think they call it an ambivert or something like that. And so while I love people, I have to have my me time to recharge. If I don't get that time to recharge, then I'm physically exhausted. I'm spiritually unaligned. I'm emotionally bankrupt. I have nothing to give. And I know as a coach, as a trainer, I can't pour from an empty cup. So I have to find ways to refill my cup, but that are oftentimes in solitude. So I need that time by myself to be able to write, to be able to think, to be able to decompress, to be able to process maybe some experiences that are going on, to be able to think about things. I'm constantly giving to clients, and so that takes energy and that takes strategy. And so even then, being able to shut off, okay, in this time, what I'm going to think about has to be for my happiness. I can't mix and mingle the time that I'm thinking about stuff that's going on for my clients, or things that I need to do to my clients, or deliverables, or things like that, marketing, whatever the case may be. I can't use that solitude time for that, or that solitude then starts feeling like isolation, because I'm shut off from the world, but I'm not connected to myself. And so that's where that isolation piece comes in. And the isolation is a mental thing. It's mental, because that's really the difference between isolation and solitude. Solitude, you're strategically choosing to be by yourself, but you're choosing in those times, in that moment, in that space, to do things that refill your cup, spiritually, emotionally, whatever the case may be. And like I said, it might be completely alone time, or it might be small groups. And so for me, I would rather have intimate friendships and intimate conversations on a deeper level than massive quantities of surface level friends. I want that deeper conversation. I want the deeper connection. So my inner circle, we've talked about that before, my inner circle versus my outer rim. My inner circle is very, very tight. And so in appearances, it could appear that I'm isolated, but I'm not. That for me is solitude, because that's my choice. I'm strategic about creating that space for me, because that's what refills me. That's what fills my cup back up, and that's what allows me to pour out. If I say I want to ignite the light for someone else, I gotta stay lit, right? I gotta stay lit. Isolation dims your light. Isolation blows out your candle. There is no light. There is no spark. There's no end of the tunnel per se. Hey Victor. Hey Cornelius. Thanks for joining in, guys. So you have to be really strategic to create solitude so you don't fall into isolation. And like I said, that feeling of isolation for women who do too much, is huge. It's huge. The loneliest place in the world for me used to be a crowded room, because I would always worry, like, do I fit in? What are people going to think? Are they going to like me? And that became a huge stressor for me. It was so stressful. Like, I wanted so badly for people to like me and to accept me. And then one day I was just like, I gotta like me first. I gotta accept me first. And the hell with what anybody else thinks. And I know there's a saying that goes around the internet pretty frequently, that I used to walk into a crowded room and wonder, would anyone like me? And now I walk into a crowded room and I wonder, would I like any of them? Different mindset. Because you can be in that crowded room and feel all alone. You can feel very isolated. You can feel feelings like you're the only one giving. Nobody's giving anything back to you. That's an isolating feeling. Feeling like you're in a relationship that's one-sided. That's isolating. You have a partner that you constantly want to engage with and they're constantly withdrawing. That's isolation. So even though you're not by yourself, and that's what people perceive isolation to be, you are very isolated. You feel like you are on an island by yourself and nobody gives a damn. That's what happens when you do too much. And you have to bring it down to a manageable level. You got to slow the pace. You have to create that safe space for you where you can begin to refill your cup. So does that mean you hire a coach such as myself? Do you do you read? Do you learn how to journal? Do you learn how to, for me it was meditation, it was prayer, it was writing was never an issue for me. I've always been a journaler. But being strategic and implementing those as refillable tools that were giving back, that were pouring back into me, all the stuff that I was giving out. And so it's crazy now when I look back how much more I can give, because I do take that time and created that space of solitude. I created that environment. But I have to be cognizant of it, because like we talked about, that making sure I don't cut off too much contact, that I still maintain those close personal relationships. Those are important for that to remain solitude and not turn into isolation. It's a management tool for your personal development and your self-leadership. And I just, it just tickles me again when the universe just sends me exactly what I need, because we were just having that conversation. Hey Jonathan. So that's my message for today, guys. All this week we're going to be taking little snippets. The book is called Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much. And I always talk to my sisters, because that is what I'm so passionate about, is bringing the next one along. I shared with you guys a few weeks ago that survival is a responsibility, right? And so I feel very responsible to go back for my sisters and to pull the next one up, to ignite the light. But make no mistake, fellas, there's some guys out there that are doing too much. You're giving too much of yourself. You're not creating that time and that space that you need to refill your own cups as well. So make sure that, fellas, you take good care of yourselves as well. I appreciate everyone for joining in. Share the video out as always. And also, if you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go do that. I need to get to 100 subscribers for a project that I'm working on. It's very important. So the link is in the title of the video. So y'all have an amazing day. We're back tomorrow with 30 books in 30 weeks. Week 18, Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much. Have an amazing day. Thanks for living life on Mars, y'all. We'll talk soon.